Welcome to the Beverage Click podcast, the only podcast where we discuss drinking trends with an Asian perspective. I'm your resident host, Sean O, certified beverage specialist and co-founder of the Beverage Click Academy in Singapore and Malaysia. And here is this month's episode. Hey, what's up, my drinking comrades, and welcome back to the Beverage Click podcast. I'm Sean O, and today we are kicking off something a little special, a mini-series within the podcast where I sit down with local Asian sommeliers to get beyond the job title and into the why, their philosophy, their habits, and their service mindset. Basically, their modus operandi. Because behind every great wine list is a human being making thousands of tiny decisions about taste, value, pairings, storytelling, and ultimately, hospitality. For this first episode, we're featuring Yeo Xi Yang, also known as Yang, a sommelier who has been in the game since 2012, starting right after national service. He began at Les Amis as a commis-somm, spent over 4 years there, and eventually led the team. From there, he joined Lo and Behold Group, spending time at the now defunct The Black Swan, and later at private members club Straits Clan. Then Yang went on to lead the team for Park 90 Group, working across concepts spanning Singapore, Taiwan, and Japan. And if you have ever built wine programs across different markets, you will know that's not just curating bottles, that's managing culture, taste, price sensitivity, and expectations. And at the tail end of 2022, after winning the Singapore National Sommelier Competition, Yang opened his own champagne bar, Convivial. Now, at the time of this recording, Convivial had just newly opened, still in that exciting phase where everything is fresh, personal, and very much an extension of the founder. And if you have met Yang, you'll know he isn't trying to make champagne feel intimidating. He's trying to make it feel joyful. Before we jump into the conversation, let me give you my quick 2 cents on what I call the sparkling wine phenomenon. Because champagne isn't just a drink right now, it's a cultural sign. Over the last few years, we've seen a real push-pull between demand, supply, and style. First, supply pressure. After the post-pandemic boom, where champagne shipments hit around 326 million bottles in 2022, some producers started tightening allocations to protect stock and manage availability. You also had weaker harvest conditions in recent years, contributing to that sense of it's harder to get what you want when you want it. At the same time, shipments later cooled back towards pre-COVID levels, roughly 299 million bottles in 2023, then 271 billion in 2024. So it's less like a permanent global shortage and more like a market that's swinging between celebration mode and caution mode. Second, climate change is reshaping vintage logic. Warmer growing conditions have meant earlier harvests and riper fruit. In many places, that can be a quality win, but it also changes the balance that traditional method sparkling relies on, especially freshness and acidity. And it's not just champagne. More regions are having to rethink what classic sparkling even means in a warming world. Lastly, the category is expanding fast. Consumers aren't only drinking champagne at weddings anymore. Sparkling has become an anytime choice, and other regions are stepping up hard. Prosecco keeps gaining momentum, Cava continues to build global presence, and you can see the premium conversation getting louder. English sparkling is no longer a novelty, and it's now part of serious fine wine conversation. And here's a personal travel note. On my recent trip, I was seeing a real intent from producers and the trade in Nevada around expanding that conversation, including sparkling rosé as a category. Whether it becomes a full-on regional signature or a selective niche, is a reminder that when demand shifts, regions adapt. And sparkling is one of the most exciting playgrounds for that right now. With that context, today's guest makes perfect sense. Because if sparkling is having a moment globally, Yang is building a space that translates that moment into something very human. Hospitality, taste, and good vibes, one bottle at a time. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back, my drinking comrades, and we are over here today at Convivial. It's a very special location because this is newly opened by my friend here, Yang. Actually, we go way back. Yang is a very experienced sommelier and he has a vast amount of training experience when it comes to hospitality and F&B. Again, congratulations on the opening of Convivial. Would you like to tell us a little more about the bar and what inspired you to open the champagne bar?
Absolutely. So Convivial is a champagne bar that's just opened a month ago. I'm very happy to be doing this with you, Sean. Thank you so much for the feature. Convivial was birthed because of my absolute love for champagne. I've been doing wines throughout my career, ever since I finished national service since in 2012. And from then on, I've always worked in wines and with the world of wines. And I began my career in French fine dining. In fine dining, you deal with quite a bit of fine wines as well. Some wines were worth 5 figures, some even 6 figures and all that. But the one that really, really tickled me and really sparked my interest was a magnum bottle of a Krug 1985 champagne. Okay. And it was absolutely mind-blowing, and it was fresh, but yet it was complex and it felt mature, but yet, there was so much tension. The finish just didn't want to end. And it just kept coming back in waves, and it was such a complex wine. Like, wow, this wine, okay, it's definitely not an everyday wine in terms of its valuation, but it certainly is nowhere close to the top end wines that fetch 5 figures and a lot more per bottle. So that was when my interest and curiosity in champagne grew, and it never stopped since 11 years ago. So what inspired me to create the shop was, I think, during the COVID period, right? Like most people, we were just kind of questioning ourselves, is this it? Is this life? So I guess a bit of the self-reflection. And I thought it was about time, as well, a good window for me this season in my life where things are a bit more settled at home. I think it's about the right timing to come out and
be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, try it out. And
has it been that long? 11 years? Yeah. No, so just to give context to everyone back at home listening, I knew Young, 2012, right? Was 20?
Yeah, and around there.
At about the time whereby you started at Les Amis. So
exactly right.
In an event together, NK Young event.
That's right.
And that's how I got to know him. Back then, he was he still looks very young, but back then he was much younger. I was like,
I had a little less facial hair, 10 kilos lighter. Times have changed, yeah. So
but it's been a long time coming, and then it's great to see. In a way, it's kind of like a parent moment whereby you see somebody who's come of age.
Definitely journeyed with me.
That only shows my age also. Yeah. Convivial seems like a nice hit bar. But what can the consumers or drinkers, when they come here, what can they expect from your menu or from your offering?
Right. In terms of our offering, we are a champagne bar, but we don't only solely serve champagne. We do sparkling wines from all over the world as well. We also do still wines like whites, reds, orange, even sweet wines. All these whites and reds and sweets all have a story to tell around bubbles. There's some affiliation to the fizz. Yeah. We also do lower ABV stuff like beer and cider, which is like 5 to 7%.
Oh, you serve beer as well?
Yeah, just to be a bit more inclusive. And we also
have bubbles after all.
Yeah, and we do one non-alcoholic option as well, just in case anyone is pregnant or allergic to alcohol amongst a group of friends.
This is a bit off topic. Well, it's not off topic because it's still bubbles. Is sparkling something that you are looking at, or are you still considering?
Yes. I'm not against the idea. It doesn't just purely have to be wines. As you can tell, I'm doing cider and beer as well.
Yeah.
Sparkling sake is not off the grid. Neither is things like makgeolli or anything.
Yeah, as long as it's with bubbles, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Good to know. Again, for a little bit of backstory, because the competition hasn't really begun this year, but he was last year's Singapore National Competitions champion. I think it's a double bonus for you in terms of winning and then opening a new establishment.
I think it's very timely.
Yeah. Was the journey tough to get there? To the summit, it always gets cold and lonely. No? What kind of hardship that you had to endure?
Regarding a competition or regarding kind of like
competition, career, managing the family?
Yeah, I think for competition-wise, I've been competing since 2016. I think that was my first venture into a sommelier competition. And it was only last year, 2022. So it was, I guess, a 7-year window of trying but not succeeding, trying but not succeeding. Yeah, it's definitely a journey to embark on. Winning on the first year, it's few and far between. I don't think anyone has thus far won it on their very first year of competing.
Yeah.
So what I can say is that we of course strive to win it in our very first competition. But even if we don't, then keep trying, keep pushing.
But I think, it was an obvious winner during that year, because I was there and I saw him compete. Hands down, I knew you were going to win. It was just a matter of formality.
You're very kind.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. With regards to managing it alongside family. And that was also the time where I was serving my tenure, my notice with my previous workplace. So I think I had a clearer headspace during that 3 to 4 months prior to competition, especially because I was gearing myself up to serve my notice and all that. So I think I was in a righter frame of mind to compete. And
your previous establishment was at Park 90, right?
That's right. So I was with Park 90 for over 4 years. Yeah, co-leading the team with Mason for about 15 of us in the team. So what a journey it was. Yeah, unforgettable to say the least.
The LA boys were always together. I call them the LA boys because him, Mason, and Joel were all from Les Amis. And then somehow or other, they might go their separate ways, but always come back together again. The reconvene mom. Yeah,
we love each other too much.
Since the LA boys. Okay, great. So maybe talking more about your list and what you offer here, or what do you think Champagne has to offer in the future? Are there any new things in the pipeline, or are you looking at this maybe naturally or organically grown phase of our drinking trend? Is this something that you're looking into, or?
For sure. From all that you said, I think the keyword that you said was future, and I'd like to expound on that a little bit. Champagne has been a winemaking region for about half a millennia now. They started off with only still wines, but only about 300 years ago did they start to really do bubbles and market themselves and really focus on it being a sparkling wine. 300 years on, with what is going on globally in terms of climate change, I see Champagne as the future. I think there are many other wine regions out there which winemakers are truly scratching their head to how to tackle climate change and what's the best way moving forward. But I think a region like Champagne, if I can put this in a certain way, they benefit from, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, benefit from climate change, because it was once known to be a very cold region where achieving ripeness was difficult to attain. And because of that, there was maybe about a century ago, because during that time, ripeness was difficult to attain. Full phenolic ripeness and sugar ripeness was difficult to attain. So there was this addition of dosage or residual sugar just to bring balance to the product. But of course, in today's day and age, there's less need for you to add dosage to your wines. And just because full ripeness, now I think it's really...
Are you seeing more vintage Champagne drier, perhaps?
Yes, and you have seen some forerunners in doing it, like Duval Leroy's Femme de Champagne, their top range. 2002 was already Brut Nature. So stuff like that, it shows that they're forward-thinking, they're really embracing what's to come. And I also do think in Champagne, there's this sub-appellation called Coteau Champenoise, which is a still wine appellation. And I've been following this appellation for a while, since the early 2010s, all the way until now. I found a lot of progress, also because due to the achieving of ripeness that you get in today's day and age. I've had some Coteau Champenois in the early 2000s and the early 2010s.
Probably still
very one-dimensional, very lack of breath, lots of acid, not much going on. I've had some in the recent years, 2018, 19, 20s. Delicious, really coming together, expressive and full. And yeah, so I think Champagne, I don't think it's a trending product because it's been around for half a millennia and consumed by aristocrats and royalty, as some may know. But I think I don't see it as a trending product, but rather I see it as the future of great wines.
I mean, trends would be something that might determine your list, but what actually determines your curated list? There must be a Young's philosophy or
Young's philosophy
about the story.
So I think that Champagne has several stigma. A few, if I may mention, would be that it is for the more affluent. That's for the upper class. That's one. The second is that Champagne is an aperitif. You start with it, but you move on to the bigger boys like the red wine. That's where, it gets serious and better. And other stigma would be that bubbles get you intoxicated quicker than other products, or if you mix...
That is true. It happens to me all the time.
If you mix bubbles with other products, then you get super intoxicated. I'm trying to demystify all these stigmas, but also I'm trying to make Champagne approachable. And it's not only for the upper class. So we have Champagne starting from a very reasonable, within reach range. I think in Singapore, our general population is definitely more affluent than several parts of the world. And I think the sweet spot, the safe spot for having wines, whether at a restaurant or a bar, there's a certain bandwidth that people are very comfortable to spend. And several champagnes on my wine list fall within that category. Definitely, I have some wines that appeal to, that are a bit more premium, a bit more fine wine champagnes. But that's for those who seek it. I don't actively promote the products to my customers, my guests when they enter the shop. Rather, what I try and do is to make it friendly and approachable for everyone without being overly.
So there is a diversification of big houses, your negotiants and your growers.
Exactly right. So even Champagne, to me, it's a absolutely wonderful region. There's so much breadth. I think the layman doesn't know about the breadth. So I guess what I'm trying to do here in Convivial is to soft educate. There is such diversity in Champagne. So you can go from a very singular identity, which means single grape variety, single vintage, single village, even single vineyard, all the way to it's just an orchestra of different vintages, different grape varieties, different vineyards. And I think Champagne is, in my knowledge of wines, likely the only region that celebrates multi-vintage. Who else cares about multi-vintage but Champagne? And Champagne really celebrates it. Guys like Laurent Perrier, their top prestige cuvée, Grand Siècle, they have it with multi-vintage. I think that's a very bold move in showing that I come from Champagne, we're proud of what we do, and I like that philosophy.
What Only Giro is doing?
Orange Giro as well.
Multi-vintage.
Krug, right? What's celebrated is their Grand Cuvée. Many hundreds of wines go into a singular bottle.
Yeah, you brought up education. So I know when we talk about, actually I'm moving towards food pairing because clearly there will be a need for you to advocate and do a little bit of food pairing and have the consumer understand what kind of food do you think pairs well with champagne or sparkling in general. What's your approach when you do pairing in your establishment?
So in Convivial, our food menu is a bit more recognizable, a little bit on the safer side. So we focus a bit more on seafood, right? Seafood, champagne, best friends, always complement each other so well. And our proteins that we have on the menu, we're trying to go a little bit more farmer, a little bit more rustic style by featuring things like frog's legs and guinea fowl. We're experimenting in R&D.
Frog legs?
Yeah, frogs.
Okay.
And experimenting with rabbit, trying to see how we can squeeze it into the menu. It's not in the menu yet, but we just want to bring a different approach. But that being said, I think because of the breadth and diversity of champagne, you can have it dry, you can have it sweet, you can have it really rich and bold, you can have it super crisp and fresh. I firmly believe that champagne can be had throughout a meal, whether it's a 5-course dinner, even if your main course is a red meat, I don't think champagne will be offensive. And so if I may give a very general guideline, I think seafood works very well with crisper, fresher champagne. And when you delve into the proteins, especially with darker sauces, cream-based sauces or brown sauces, then you can work towards more oak fermented champagnes. A little bit older styles of champagne brings more richness and depth to the wine and therefore pairs with the food. So this is very generic style of how I would approach. From seafood, vegetables also will work well with crisper, fresher styles. And then for proteins with like red meat, then maybe a more barrel fermented, longer aging on lees, more mature style champagne. And you can definitely end off with a sweet wine as well, Raffia de Champagne or demi-sec, that's very fine as well.
Adding on to the dining experience, clearly you have put in quite a bit of thought to the. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the decor of your location? I know for the viewers or the listeners back home, they probably will be like, okay, this is getting interesting. So you probably have to come down and see it yourself, but maybe just have Yang take you through a little bit of what decor is, what inspired it.
Absolutely. We are a shop house located on 11 North Canal Road. I was looking at several locations, but I settled on this one because this shop house has a high ceiling, about 3.8 meters, and that allows me to achieve the effect of carving out kind of like a champagne crier or champagne cave effect. Why did I mimic this shop to be that of a champagne cave? It's because these champagne caves are very meaningful. It's actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site as of 2015. And in Champagne, these were carved out by the Gallo-Romans about 2,000 years ago, about the 1st century BC. And these interconnect several wineries underground. It's about 30 meters underground. And everyone is just interconnected to each other. Boulanger is neighbors with Mo and Shandong, and then you can reach to Rina and Shanghai Sek and all that stuff. And that to me is super cool because above ground, you don't see it, you don't feel it. I have my own mansion here, you're over there. But underground, everyone is just like weaved together and they're like separated by iron gates and stuff like that. So, I can be walking past and see you on the other side of the gate. Hey bro, and I just do my thing, you do your thing. And I think that's what Champagne does. It brings people together, and I hope this is what this shop does as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't realize that there was a deeper meaning.
Multi-layer.
It's not just about aesthetics. Okay. But definitely challenges trying to set up the location. This is not a bitching or ranting session, but what kind of challenges did you have to overcome?
For sure. The first and foremost, the biggest challenge is that I am but one individual.
One-man army, huh?
Yeah, one-man army. I did this a lot of limitations. My speciality is operations on the floor, but I had to learn so many things, what it means to be starting up your own shop, dealing with contractors, interior design, dealing with marketing. Do I do it? Do I not? Do I do this? Do I not? Landlord, setting out the finance part of things, the business part of things. And so I'm also not under any group. I'm independent. Therefore, I don't have that knowledge of real estate. What's the best place to set up camp? I don't have expertise in marketing or finance. Really, all this was super brand new to me. So I hit my head against the wall several times. I learned the hard way. And this journey, many would say, took longer than I expected. It took me about 9-10 months to really get up. Right? Everyone's because I was young, okay, there was a lot of buzz around, but I tried to shut away the white noise and focus on this project as best as I can. I know I am highly limited just because my skill sets is not all encompassing. Just along the way, I had people come in and join me in the team that really assisted, and I really tried to enjoy the journey. I think the highs are really high and the lows are really low, but I think that's what life is about as well. You don't want to have a flat line, just have a very stagnant career, just sailing through it. With that being said, I think I'm one of the few lucky. I consider myself very blessed to have the opportunity to pursue a career that I personally enjoy. I think that many people in the world hold jobs and occupations that they have no choice but to do, whether it's because they're responsible for their family, they have to do a certain job, that they work certain professions and careers that they would rather not. But I'm very blessed that I have this window, this opportunity that I can.
Yeah, I can appreciate that because I'm doing the same thing. If you had some advice to offer to other people who are aspiring to become wine entrepreneurs, I'd say, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say be strong in the concept. Don't rush into it. Delve deeper. Think many different layers. There'll be challenges that will come along the way, whether it's the storage facility, whether it's several things will come along the way. Seek advice from fellow entrepreneurs as well. Don't just hear it from me. I'm just but a budding entrepreneur. What I intentionally did was to spend more time with other F&B entrepreneurs, especially when they're local, born and raised here. They know the challenges as well. Be intentional to seek for advice, and you will be humbled, but because many things you thought make sense will actually doesn't play out in reality.
Okay, because we're coming to the end of our episode, just one last shout out to the people who are planning to come visit you. Any tips to make the most out of the experience, or what should they be looking out for or looking forward to?
I would say if you ever step foot into Convivial, I think soak in everything, soak in the atmosphere, the music, the drinks, the vibes. What Adrian's my ops manager, we're trying to deliver at the end of the day is hospitality. So beyond just the product that you're consuming, whether it's the wine, whether it's the food, feel and enjoy a wine bar. To me, it's all about vibes and all about hospitality. So that's what we hope that you would receive at the end of it all. Like when you walk out, gosh, that was fun. That was good fun. Got a little bit tipsy, but man, that was a great experience. So I think that should be what Adrian and I are working toward.
Okay, good advice. We're only about 10 minutes walk away from our school premise, so I'm definitely looking forward to having a tipple here, finally. But yeah, that wraps up our episode for this month. Quick shout out to our listeners to check our website for course schedules and certification programs. And if you'd like to listen to more to drink contents like that, please do remember to follow and subscribe. I look forward to seeing all of you for the next episode. Cheers.
Cheers.